All right, you are looking live at Sold Out Giants Stadium, where today the 16-0 New York Giants will be taking on the 0-16 Houston Texans. Why are the Houston Texans 0-16? Because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody at all out there going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening? From the bottom of my heart, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Or anybody watches any of the replay of this at all, once again, from the bottom of my heart, you guys absolutely rock. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, as I always try to do. Anybody got anything to say? Anything? Just throw it in the chat box. I usually check on the chat box every so often. So anything gets put in there, I usually check up on it. I always respond to it. So feel free to throw anything in the chat box you want. Go right ahead. Before I get started, if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. There's a link in the description box, the top link, right in the top of the description box. I have 3 different membership levels. Help support my channel. It would mean so much to me. I would greatly appreciate it. The first one is called the Saquon. The second one is called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third one is called the Gridiron. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them and all and everything. There's like loyalty badges. There's emojis. I have 4 different emojis that you can respond to in the comments and all and everything. I'm going to have a 5th emoji coming out soon. Okay. So, that's the membership level. If you're not subscribed, please click the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way, next time I go live, I got a video coming out or something like that, you'll be first one to be notified of it. Right. And then last, in the description box, I have there's a couple links actually. One of them is I have the page. It's called The Gridiron. It's all about New York Giants. There's new stuff going on there all the time. Every day there's fresh stuff being put on there. Some of the people in the group posting there too. John Starkey just posted a little while ago. Food for thought. The Packers are thinking of trading Aaron Rodgers. Would you accept Rodgers to quarterback our New York Giants team? So, yeah, stuff going in there every day. All right, they got over 1,800 members in there in the group as of right now. Then there's also another link to a page, and same thing with that. I have it's called The Gridiron, right? It's a page, new stuff going in there every day as well. Okay, right now there's 260 likes on the page. There's also 308 people following the page too. So click on that link. Like the page, follow it. That way you get some, updates and everything every day. There's new stuff going in there every day. All right. So please feel free. All right. So with all of that stuff out of the way, now what we got? It's kind of the same thing like was like last night. The video. We had some good news on the injury up. We had some bad news. Last night, of course, remember we had Shane Lemieux was coming back. Right? They took him off IR, so kind of hoping to see, hopefully what the Giants have in store for him. And he's been out for a while. He's had problems with like a toe or a foot back in August, so it's been like 3 months. So with him, all right, he can only be, in such decent shape, okay? Because, if you got a problem with a toe or a foot or whatever, kind of tough to be out there running around, okay, keeping in shape, okay? there's other things you can do. But to be in ideal shape, you need your feet, okay, to be out there running around. So it'd be interesting to see kind of like what they did with Nick Gates. Nick Gates made the 53-man roster. They put him in there for about 5 snaps, I believe it was. Okay. Maybe Shane Lemieux, maybe the same kind of thing. They'll get him on a pitch count. Maybe put him in there for 5 snaps, 10 snaps or so, whatever. So it'll be interesting to see what they wind up doing with Nick Gates. But then what they have with Nick Gates, and we got somebody back. Of course, last night, in the video, Even the Giants, even on their bye week, they got to lose ball players due to injury. So Xavier McKinney, injured his hand, so he'll be out a few weeks. So it's kind of the same thing with like that. This tonight, there's obviously we got some good news, and then we got some bad news on the injury update, all right? Looks like Kenny Golladay, okay, is making progress, and hopefully, all right, he'll be on his way back, looking possibly to be playing this week against the Texans, which would be huge for the Giants, okay? Got an article here. It talks about, the Golladay, and of course also the Giants lost a couple players. Looks like they lost a couple players for the season. Shocking, I know. More injuries. The guys are out for the season. So we got this is from NJ.com. Okay, the bye week is a time for a team to get healthy, but no, not the Giants. Giants returned to practice Tuesday on the heels of Monday's news that they've lost starting safety Xavier McKinney and reserve defensive tackle Nick Williams to injuries. Now, McKinney's hand, okay, was a result of an ATV accident during a bye week vacation in Mexico. And Williams' bicep injury occurred in the game against the Seahawks. He came in, he got, he played, got injured, went out, and never came back in. So his the bicep. So apparently it looks like Williams is one of those guys that we lost for the season. I wish him nothing but the best. Okay. Williams coach Brian Dable said is out for the season. McKinney was placed on the non-football injury list, cannot return until at least December 11th against the Eagles. Okay. And we can use him then. For certainly. All right. Coach also revealed that cornerback Aaron Robinson, okay, who suffered a severe knee injury in the Giants' Week 4 game against the Bears, is also out for the rest of the season. So we lost Williams to the bicep, okay, and then we lost, of course, Aaron Robinson, our second, at the beginning of the season, I guess you want to call it, maybe the top, second ranked or rated, cornerback. Although Fabian Moreau is doing a fantastic job filling in for him. But so once again, Aaron Robinson is out. Oh my goodness. But, okay, on the heels of that, okay, we got the biggest name the Giants hope to get back Sunday against the Texans is wide receiver Kenny Golladay, who has been out since suffering a knee injury against the Bears. Golladay is just paying $18 million a year, and he has just 2 catches for 22 yards this season. But he does bring experience to a wide receiver group that has struggled this season. The Giants are 29th in passing yards and only have 1 player with 200 receiving yards. Wow. Okay. And then, okay, so there was also a bit of good news on the injury front, late Monday when the team announced that guard Jaylen Waddle was ready to return from the foot injury that sidelined him through the first 8 games of the season. He will be eligible to play Sunday against the Texans after being out since the second game of last season. Oh, my goodness. Oh, it wasn't even a second game of last season. I mean, he was out, but, he played the first quarter against the Broncos last year. He played 19 snaps, and he's been out. He missed, so we played 17 games last season. He missed 16 and 3/4 games last season. Then he missed the 3 preseason games, so that's 19 and 3/4, right? Then he missed the 8 games so far this season, so he's missed 27 3/4 games. Okay. Not only that, but he missed the 3 preseason games last year. So he's missed 30 and 3/4 out of the last 31 ball games due to 2 different injuries. So he's on thin ice. He's on thin ice. I don't care what he looks like, how he does this and blah, 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 blah. He's on thin ice, period. Because he was not drafted by Shane or Dable. Okay. He's missed 30 and 3/4 out of the last 31 games. Okay. And obviously, I'm not telling Shane or Dable nothing new. They know. Okay. So if this guy can't stay healthy, I mean, it's simply, and I'm not trying to make fun of him or anything like that, but it's simply amazing, like how they go through their whole college career, playing all these games. And it was like last year, it was like, I don't know, it was like the second practice or something. He partially tore his patellar tendon. Boom. Whole season's gone, pretty much gone. He played 19 snaps. Then this year, he comes back, this, that, and the other thing, and boom, injures. I thought it was a toe, but apparently injures his toe or a foot or something. And he missed the 3 preseason games and the 8 regular season. So he's missed 11 games this season. I mean, the guy cannot stay healthy. Okay, so he's on thin ice. Another injury or so from him, and with the long-term implications to it, and he's walking himself out the door. Okay, because it doesn't matter what kind of guy you are, kind of attitude you have, but this, that, the other thing. If you can't stay healthy, you're worthless. Okay, so he's on thin ice. Let's see here. Okay, then we got some of the other injury news. Okay, Dable has also provided some other injury updates. Receiver and punt returner Reggie James, who suffered a concussion in the Giants' loss at Seattle, was expected to practice. James lost 2 fumbles on punt returns against the Seahawks, and the Giants worked a long list of other players at the punt returner during the early portion of practice Tuesday. That group included Darnay Holmes, who filled in for James for 1 punt in Seattle, Adoree Jackson, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Khalil Pimpleton. So, that was a shame. And rookie right tackle Evan Neal, who's out against Seattle after suffering a knee injury in Week 7 against Jacksonville, remained out of practice on Tuesday. However, outside linebacker Oshane Ximines, who missed the last 2 games with a quadricep injury, was expected to return to practice. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, maybe we might get the X-Man back, right? And then we got rookie cornerback Cordell Flott, out since suffering a calf injury in Week 3 against the Cowboys, was expected to return to practice as well. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so we lost Aaron Robinson, but hopefully we might, not saying, Cordell Flott will be ready this week. Not sure, how that's going to, fare out there against with Cordell Flott, whether he'll be playing or not, but at least he's coming back to practice. So that's huge. Okay. Then they got rookie tight end Daniel Bellinger, out since suffering the eye injury in Week 7 against Jacksonville, remained out, but was improving according to Dable. Outside linebacker Azeez Ojulari, who had missed all but 2 games this season because of a calf injury that he first sustained in training camp. I think he was running he was just running sprints, and boom, there goes the calf. That's simply amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's see. But he will miss at least the next 2 games against Houston and Detroit before being eligible to return from injury reserve Thanksgiving Day against Dallas. So that would be huge. Hopefully, because he has to miss the games, all right? But in there as well, is the bye week. So hopefully with the bye week and then these next 2 games, hopefully he'll be ready to go, because against Dallas, we're going to need him. We're going to need all hands on deck against the Cowboys. So it's going to be a tough game, really, really tough game. And, I hope it's not a Thanksgiving Day massacre. All right. This is going to be a very tough game. Giants basically, period, have a hard time beating the Cowboys, period, anywhere. But, the Cowboys are very, very good, and it's going to be a very tough game for the Giants. The other players who also remain on injury reserve, guard Ben Bredesen with a knee will be out at least 3 more games, veteran safety Tony Jefferson with his foot will be eligible to return November 20th against Detroit. Now, he's been out for quite some time now. So if we're lucky, maybe we'll get him back. Okay. So hopefully we're starting to get some guys back. Okay. Although, as we've seen, we're getting guys back, but we're also other guys are getting injured too as well. But if we can get Kenny Golladay back, okay, that would be huge. Absolutely huge. Because the one thing the Giants have the problem with, okay, is what they've been doing, especially in the past game. They're like one of the, I think they are the team with the passing play wise, okay, the least 20-yard gains, okay, in the entire NFL, okay. And, that's a problem. It's obviously, there's a stat. I don't remember what it was, okay, but there is a stat out there, okay, that says if on a drive, if you have a play of 20 yards or more, your chances of scoring a touchdown go up exponentially. Meaning it's rather tough to dink and dunk your way down the field. 5 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards first down, 6 yards, 3 yards, 7 yards first down. Keep coming up with 15, 16, 17 play drives and score a touchdown without something going wrong. Okay, it's very, very difficult. But if you can get a 20-yard or more play in there, obviously runs count too. Don't get me wrong there. But, chances are you're going to have, better chance of getting a passing play of 20 yards or more than you would possibly with the run. Okay. But the Giants are last in the NFL. Okay. With, I think I heard somebody say the Giants only have 9 passing plays of 20 yards or more. I think what I heard was the Ravens were second worst, and I think they have 17, and the Giants only have 9. So, I mean, for the, having those explosive plays is huge, all right? And the one thing is that if you don't have somebody who can, scare the crap out of the defense, right? Stretch the field, stretch it, sideline to sideline, stretch it deep, it's tough. I mean, because then they can just start creeping up, right? And just, dare you to beat them throwing the ball, right? And, but Kenny Galladay's not going to maybe scare the crap out of anybody per se, but what he can do, okay, is he's good at the 50-50 balls. Just throw me the freaking ball. I don't care if a guy's on me. I go up, I come down with the ball. That's what I do. I don't run a sluggo and you'll see me open by 5 yards. That's not what I do. I don't run past the cornerback with my elite speed and get open by 3 yards, and you just hit me in stride and I go for it. That's not what he does, okay? But what he can do, right, is he, goes down the field, all right, which, stretches the defense, right, which is huge, and, which would certainly help the offense out. I mean, now if you can stretch the field a little bit, starts opening up things underneath maybe a little bit more for, because when you have a lot, Tanner Hudson and Chris Myrick out there and Sills and Richie James, when you got guys like that out there running around, you're not going to, have a prolific passing offense. Okay. You need all the help you can get. All right. But if they can get at least Kenny Golladay back where maybe he can hopefully maybe stretch the field a little bit, it might open stuff up underneath for maybe a Wan'Dale Robinson. Maybe they can get Saquon out wide. Let him, run a couple pass patterns, right? Something. So, I mean, to get Kenny Golladay back would be really, really huge. Even if, I don't want to say use him as a decoy, but, I mean, you want to get something out of the guy. But, getting him back on the field would be huge. And it sounds like he's saying the right things. Now, whether he means them or not, who knows? Okay, because I'm sure he's disappointed as all hell. I'm sure the Giants and us fans are also disappointed in him as well too. But he's saying the right thing. Sounds like he wants to be back on the field. He wants to be part of this. Okay, he said he's never been on a team that's made the playoffs, and I can see that with the Lions and the Giants. So it sounds like he really wants to be part of something. Okay, so if he can help us, 6-2, help us reach the playoffs or whatever, sounds like he's all for it. Okay. Now, which leads me to my next point. Okay, the Giants here. Okay, next 2 games coming up going to be huge for the Giants' playoff push. All right, now it's 6-2. Okay, the Giants are playing the Texans, obviously, and then the Lions. Okay, the Lions are 2-6, and the Texans, I believe, 1-7-1. What are they? I mean, they got 1 win, right? 1-6-1. Okay. Now the Texans don't score a lot of points. They've scored 133 points. Okay, in 8 games. Not good. I mean, even the Giants have scored more than that. All right, they've scored 133. The Giants have scored 163. Okay. But the Lions, they can score some points, but the Lions give up a lot of points. Okay. But it's one of those things. Any given Sunday, any team obviously can beat any team, and you can't just walk into the game. Oh, we're playing the Texans. We're at home. The Texans only have 1 win. We're 6-2. They're 1-6-1. We got this. We don't have to give we don't have to give a whole 100% effort to come away with the W on this one. We got this one. No. All right. Any given Sunday, right? So it's going to be huge. Now, if the Giants can win these next 2 games and go 8-2, okay, as I said, I mean, the one nice thing, all right, is that you look at the NFC South. I mean, my goodness. Now, one team there has a winning record. Okay, the Giants have a 3-game lead over any team in it, right? The Buccaneers. Somebody's got to win the division by default, okay? But the team in second place is the Falcons. They got 5 losses. The Giants have a 3-game lead on them, okay? Let's see. Then we go to the North, all right? Unless something miraculous happens, all right? The Vikings have a 5-game lead, okay, in the NFC North as of right now. Okay, they're 7-1. The Packers and Bears are 3-6. They got a 5-game lead over 2 teams. So, barring some kind of unbelievable meltdown, looks like the Vikings are going to win the NFC North. Okay, which also leads my next point is that the Giants have a 4-game lead. Okay, actually, they got even more than that over the Packers and the Bears because they beat both those teams, so they would have the tiebreaker. Okay, so they got the head-to-head against those guys. So they got over a 4-game lead on both those teams. All right. The Packers this week coming up are playing at home, but they're playing the Cowboys. It's going to be a tough game. The Packers could certainly lose that game. All right. Then we go to the NFC West. All right. The 49ers seem like they're up and coming. Now they got McCaffrey. Okay. They have a very good defense. They've only given up 147 points on defense. All right. Their offense, they've scored 176. They look for them. All right. Unless Garoppolo gets hurt. All right. Look for them to make a nice, good push in the second half here. Okay. Now, I don't know what the heck's going on with these Rams here. 3-6, or I'm sorry, 3-5. They won the Super Bowl. Now they're 3-5. Only scored 131 points. I mean, they can't even score points now. Really, really embarrassing. Okay. The Cardinals can score some points, but they give up a lot of points. They've given up 241 points. The Cardinals are 3-6, right? So you look at it like the Giants have, a 2-game lead over the 49ers. Okay. So, I mean, if the Giants could jump out and get these next 2 games, right, and go 8-2, that would be huge. I mean, I said, don't look for the Cowboys to start faltering unless, they get a bunch of rash of injuries. Okay. Also don't sleep on the Commodores, the Commanders. They're 4-5. Okay. Well, they got 2 games against the Giants coming up. Okay. The Commanders beat the Giants both times last year. Okay. So, if, the Giants have 3-game lead on them, but, we got to play 5 games against our own division. Okay. Out of the last 9. Then you figure if we got to play the next 2 against out of division, then we have 7 games left. We got to play 5 out of the last 7 games against our division. 2 against the Eagles, 1 against the Cowboys, 2 against the Commanders. Okay. So now, of course, the Eagles, they have nobody injured. Okay. They have a very good team. They have nobody injured. They run 53 guys onto the field every game. Those same 53 guys at the end of the game run off the field. Nobody even has a hangnail. Nobody catches a cold. Nobody sneezes. Absolutely nothing. They're as healthy as possible. Okay, so looks like they're going to pretty much, looks like they got a real good chance of just winning the division. Okay, and being the number 1 seed. Okay, because they got the tiebreaker against the Vikings, who only have the 1 loss. But the Vikings' 1 loss was to the Eagles. Okay, so it looks like the Eagles might have the inside track, obviously. Still got a long way to go. But as of right now, I mean, for the season so far, I mean, the Eagles are just, model of health, right? Absolutely nothing goes wrong with the team. Absolutely nothing. Everybody's healthy, right? Giants lose guys on their bye week. Guys get injured. Guys don't play games for the Giants on their bye week, and we still lose guys, So it is what it is. But, I mean, these 2 games here against, the 2, opponents, the Texans and the Lions, right? Although, let's not, I mean, let's see here. I'm going to go over this here. First game of the season, they tied the Colts, the Texans. Then they lost by 7 points to the Broncos. They lost by 3 points to the Bears. They lost by 10 points to the Chargers. Then they beat the Jaguars. They lost by 18 points to the Raiders, okay? But they were winning 20-17 going into the 4th quarter, okay? They just melted down in the 4th quarter, but they were winning 20-17. They lost to the Titans, okay, by 7 points. Then they lost to the Eagles by, 12 points, okay, at home. But, I mean, you figure that one was that was tied midway through the 3rd quarter, that game. All right. So, they're not a phenomenal team. Okay. You got to love their grit, their determination, and all of that. They're not a phenomenal team. However, they give it their all. They're not going to be a pushover. Okay. They haven't really been blown out by anybody. Okay. When they lose tough games, tough, close games. All right. So not going to be easy. Then we look at the Lions. Okay. Now, the Lions have had 2 relative blowout losses here. All right. They lost at New England 29-0. All right. Then they lost to the Cowboys 24-6. But let's not forget, they were losing 10-6 to the Cowboys. It was in Dallas. The Lions, I don't remember who it was. Some guy ran the ball, got knocked out of the bounds, and they marked him just short of the goal line. Well, they were showing the replay, okay, where the guy looked like the announcers were kind of like, saying, well, it looks like the guy got the ball across the goal line. The Lions should have challenged it. Now, if the Lions challenged the play, chances are it might have been reversed and the Lions might have gotten a touchdown. And the Lions in the second half might have been, I don't remember if that was in the third quarter or in the fourth quarter, but the Lions might have had the lead 13-10 over the Cowboys. All right. Of course, with the Lions, as their luck is, the very next play, because they didn't challenge it, they fumbled the ball inside like the 1 yard line. The Cowboys got the ball. Then the Cowboys scored the next two touchdowns and wound up winning 24-6. Okay. But, all right, they lost the first game of the season at home to the Eagles. They lost by 3 points. Okay. Then they lost in Minnesota, okay, against the Vikings, who only have one loss. They lost to them by 4 points. Then they lost at home to the Seahawks, who have a winning record. They lost to them by 3 points, okay? Then they lost this last week here, okay? They lost against the Dolphins, but they lost, week 8, against the Dolphins. They lost 31-27. They lost by 4 points to the Dolphins, all right? So a lot of the games when they do lose, all right, they lost the game by 3 points, 4 points, 3 points, and 4 points, okay? And all four of those teams that they lost by 3 points, 3 points, and 4 points, all playoff teams. The Eagles are pretty much almost write them in to the playoffs. Minnesota, you can almost write them into the playoffs. Seattle, okay, they're the only team in that division who has a winning record, and the Miami Dolphins, all right? So they lost 4 real tough, close games to playoff teams, right? So that's going to be, obviously, once again, not going to be an easy pushover, okay, for the Giants. So these 2 games coming up for the Giants are going to be huge. Now, as I said, let's not forget, all right, and the Giants, after these next 2 games, all right, after the Texans and the Lions, they would have played 10 games. They'll have 7 games left. But if you look at it, 4, okay, of those 7 games that the Giants playing, okay, those 4 teams have a combined total of only 3 losses. All right. So they got 4 very, very difficult games coming up in those last 7. 4 teams have a combined total of 3 losses. They got to play the Cowboys, who have 2 losses. They got to play the Vikings, who have 1 loss. It's in Minnesota. Then they're going to have to play the Eagles 2 times, and the Eagles don't have a loss. So they got 4 games against teams that have a combined total of just 3 losses. Very, very difficult games. Then amongst those last 7 games, the Giants will have 2 against the Commanders. Okay, the Commanders are not going to be a pushover. Okay, as I said, the Commanders beat the Giants 2 times last year, right? And so you got the Commanders twice, right? And then we got a game, we're home against the Colts. Now, the Colts seem to be somewhat of a mess. Now, they fired Frank Reich, and they got Jeff Saturday in there as their coach for the time being. I'm not sure if he's going to be the long-term coach or what, but all right. But so they seem to be kind of like a mess, okay? They brought Matty Ice in there, and they benched him, and also I don't know what's going to go on with the Colts. Okay, they went from a playoff team looking really good, to now all of a sudden to a total absolute mess where Frank Reich wound up getting fired. So it's going to be interesting. But the last 7 games, I mean, the 2 games against the Commanders are going to be tough. The Giants could win those, but they're tough. All right, they'll have a home game against the Colts. Okay. So they have 3 games that would be winnable, right? Then there's the other 4 games. I'm not saying the Giants can't win them, but the Giants have a very difficult time beating the Eagles, period. We beat them once last year, okay? Giants have a tough time beating the Eagles. The Eagles are healthy as possible, one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. They don't have any losses, okay? Going to be 2 very difficult games. And the 1 game at home, on the road on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys, that's going to be a tough game. Have a hard time beating the Cowboys, period. Okay. And I said, then we got the 1 game against Minnesota. So, we got, the last 7 games, we got 4 real tough ones, right? So that's why these next 2 games would be so huge for the Giants. I mean, if they could wind up 2 home games, 2 winnable games at home, if we can go 8-2, right? 7 games left. I mean, if we can just, if we can go 3-4 in those last 7, we should be in the playoffs. Heck, we got a shot, a good shot, okay, to be honest, because there's so many teams that are below 500 right now, okay, in the NFC. There's only 5 teams that are winning records, right? And 3 of them are in the NFC East. And then you got Seattle, you got the Vikings, and you got the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Eagles. 5 teams, that's it. So if the Giants could win these next 2 and go 8-2, Giants could quite possibly go 2-5 in those last 7. Not that I want to see them go 2-5, but they could go 2-5, be 10-7, and still make the playoffs. All right, they would want to be in a road team, this, that, and the other thing, but they would go from 4-13 to 10-7 and make the playoffs in 1 year. Right? And I said the next year they got some salary cap space, but they got to sign some of their own players. Okay, so a lot of that money is going to go by the wayside, right? But they're going to possibly another 11 picks next year. Maybe we get some guys back. Darian Beaver's back. Maybe Davidson comes back. Aaron Robinson, maybe he comes back. So we get some guys back next year, hopefully healthy. Another 11 picks, and maybe we can start. Maybe we can take it from there. But these next 2 games would be huge for the Giants. And I said, not that if we win these games, not that we can put the rest of the season on autopilot and cruise control. Oh yeah, we got the play. No, because Daboll said, this league can humble you really quickly, right? So, but it'll be huge for the Giants these next 2 games. Absolutely huge. If we can go 8-2, our chances of making the playoffs are not 100%, but they'd be pretty close to 100%, especially the way the rest of the NFC is playing. Not very good football at all. Well, guys, it's been 37 minutes. Anybody at all spent any time watching this, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys absolutely rock. And as always, guys out there, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.